Hi everyone, my name's Patrick Myers. I'm running for County Commissioner, serving the towns of Atkinson, Bowerbank, Medford, Orneville, Dover, Foxcroft, and Sebec. And this is the first time I've tried making a video like this, so forgive me if the edits are a little sloppy. Now, I've never run for office before, as you can probably tell, but we need county commissioners who know how to bring people together. We need to work together to encourage economic development, to promote our region, to increase resources for our schools and opportunities for our kids, so hopefully they'll come back here after we're gone. We're not going to solve it overnight, but I know we're not going to solve it at all if we don't start working on it right now. But first, I need to win the election in November. Now, I'm not great asking for help, but I definitely need your help to win. I'm going to be looking for friendly places to put yard signs, letters to the editor, but right now, I need to ask for donations. This is my able opponent.
The goal that I've set for this month is to raise $6,000.
And that's why I'm asking for help. I don't know if I can keep up with him, but I have to try to get the word out about my campaign as best I can. Oh, wait, this is my favorite part.
Got a formidable opponent. And,
oh, thanks.
The Democrats are really focused.
So are you able to help out? Any amount would be really appreciated. If you can, go to votemyers.me, click on that donate button. While you're there, you can also read up about my campaign and why I'm running for office. If donating online isn't your thing, just make a check out to the committee to elect Patrick Myers and send it here to my campaign headquarters deep in the woods of Sebec. Appreciate your time and whatever you can do to help. Thanks so much. I'm running for office. Economic development. I'm going to be looking for friendly places to put you. I'm trying to record a video.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
In Iraq, we all work together and put ourselves at risk to benefit everyone else. You don't see that a lot in politics today, but Jared Golden is different. He didn't forget the lessons he learned as a Marine. In the main house, Jared put politics aside to team up with Governor Paul LePage to help returning vets get jobs. And Jared expanded mental health services for veterans and created permanent housing for homeless vets. We trust Jared Golden because he's one of us.
It all started with one of these. Remember those days? I walked through the door with my 3 young kids and heard a message left for my husband Ben, asking if he would run for the town council. I thought, I love Ben, but that's a job I could do, and someplace I could make a difference. So I ran for that office and won. On the town council, as a state representative and main speaker of the House, I've learned that if you're willing to work with others, it's still possible to get things done. That's what we did to protect healthcare coverage, provide property tax relief, and lower the cost of prescription drugs. We did all those things by putting politics aside and doing what was right for the people we represent. When was the last time you heard that about Washington? Now I'm running for U.S. Senate because though some things change,
Come on, can I drive?
I'll always put Maine first. I'm Sarah Gideon, and that's why I approve this message.
I see patients every day who have delayed medical care because they can't afford it and they end up more sick. The ongoing pandemic has exposed our fragmented healthcare system. I've seen this fragmentation from many perspectives as a surgeon, a small business owner, and as a hospital commander in the United States Air Force. Piscataquis County's families have suffered enough. It's time to end the suffering. As your state representative, I'll make fixing our broken healthcare system my top priority.
I'm Jared Golden. Since coronavirus, my commute is 9 hours through 8 states.
I don't drive all that way for partisan fights. That's why I've worked across the aisle to support Maine workers and small businesses. I work for you.
From the beginning, our campaign has been focused on having conversations with Mainers wherever you live.
I'm backing you 100%.
And while things have taken some unexpected turns along the way, that will always be our priority. Suppers with Sarah may not look the same as they used to, but that's not going to stop us from hearing from you.
What do you think of Washington's response to COVID?
As long as you're true to yourself and you communicate back to us, I know I will support you.
There is so much money in politics. And what can you do about that?
She seems to really want to hear what folks have to say, not just get out the door and go on to the next thing.
I feel like Sarah will never bow down to special interests. She's real.
I like the fact that she's willing to listen.
I do want to support Sarah because she's putting in the effort to support me.
You have to win.
You have to win.
I'm Sarah Gideon, and I approve this message.
I have faith in you like I haven't had too many politicians in my life.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi. Sorry to keep you.
That's all right. You ready to go to work?
Oh my God. I'm so ready to go to work.
I was raised to take action. My mother knew that she was raising two black daughters who would be treated differently because of how they looked. Growing up, whenever I got upset about something, my mother would look me in the eye and ask, "So what are you going to do about it?" That's why, when I saw a broken justice system, I became a lawyer to try and fix it. It's why, during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks as California's Attorney General. It's why, as United States Senator, I have fought to represent people like my mother, people who politicians often overlook or don't take seriously. Right now, America needs action. In the middle of a pandemic, the president is trying to rip away health care. While small businesses close, he's given breaks to his wealthy donors. And when the people cried out for support, he tear-gassed them. America is in crisis, and I know Joe Biden will lead us out of it. He's a man of faith, decency, and character. He raised his family that way. I saw it firsthand with my good friend Beau. As Joe says, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. But together, it's a battle we can win. We just have to take action.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe, and I am ready to work. I am ready to do this with you, for you. I'm just deeply honored, and I'm very excited.
There's a reason why Bath Built is best built. The workers. No member of Congress supports us more than Jared Golden. Jared is leading the way to defend union workers' rights. Propose cuts to ship's construction at Bath and hire Mainers first for Bath shipbuilding jobs, not out-of-state contractors. Keep America and our jobs safe. Re-elect Jared Golden to Congress.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
The state of Maine is now using ranked choice voting for primary and federal elections only. Ranked choice voting does not apply to the general election races for governor or the state legislature. Ranked choice voting allows voters to choose candidates in order of preference. The votes are tabulated in rounds until only two candidates remain, and one candidate is determined to have received the majority of the votes in the final round. That candidate is then declared the winner. Here's how the tabulation works. Let's assume that there are 4 candidates for the United States Senate. Let's say that blue is your first choice, the person you would most like to see win for that elected office. Yellow is your second choice, and if neither of them can win, you'd rather see purple in that office before orange. So you rank purple third and orange fourth. You are not required to choose more than one candidate if you do not want to participate in ranking. Your first choice candidate for that office will be counted on election night. If no candidate receives a majority, the voting will move into ranked choice voting rounds. All of the ballots and tabulator memory devices will be transported by courier to a secure location in Augusta for counting. Let's take a look at how all those votes will be tabulated. On election night, none of our candidates got a majority of the votes. So we move into round 1 of the ranked choice process. Orange received the fewest votes, so it will be eliminated from the race. But the people who voted for Orange as their first choice will still have a voice. Their second choice candidate will be revealed, and their vote will go to that candidate. In our example, 3 of the people who voted for Orange chose Blue as their second choice. So Blue receives 3 more votes in round 1, bringing the other 2 people who voted for Orange chose Purple as their second choice, so Purple receives 2 more votes in round 1, bringing its total to 9. Yellow's votes are also moved into this round. The round 1 totals are Blue 11, Yellow 10, Purple 9. Now we're on to round 2. Purple is eliminated, but Purple voters still have a voice in round 2. Those 7 people who voted for Purple as their first choice will have their second choice revealed. Of those 7 voters, 4 voted for Orange and 3 voted for Blue. Orange is no longer in the race, so those ballots are exhausted and are removed from the count, since these voters did not rank any other candidates. The 3 votes for Blue are added to the total for Blue, bringing Blue's total to 14. Now we look at those 2 votes that Purple received when Orange was eliminated. These voters chose Orange first and Purple second. Now we look at their third choice. These voters chose Yellow as their third choice, so their votes go to Yellow. Yellow now has 12 votes and Blue has 14. Thus, in round 3, the votes for Blue and Yellow move forward. With only 2 candidates remaining, Blue has the majority. Blue is named the winner of the election. Here are a few things to keep in mind when you're marking your ranked choice ballot. If you vote for more than one candidate in a single ranking, your vote won't count since we won't be able to tell which candidate you really want. If you decide to skip a ranking, your choice will be bumped up to the previous ranking. In this example, the skipped ranking will be ignored and Spider-Man will be counted as your second choice. If you decide to skip 2 or more rankings, though, we'll only count the votes before the double skipped rankings. If you only want to vote for one candidate, you can do so. If you choose the same candidate in multiple rankings, only your first choice vote will be counted and will carry forward into subsequent rounds, so this is the same as a single first choice vote. Determining the winner of each election will take a while, given the size of the great state of Maine, but we'll report the unofficial results as soon as they are ready so you'll know who has been chosen for each elected office. If you have any questions about ranked choice voting, please visit our upcoming elections webpage for a variety of informational resources, or give us a call at 626-8400.
2020 Fall Fundraiser Drive-In and Tune-In. This is an unusual time, and we have planned an exciting and, well, distinctive online event this year. My name is Diane McCarthy Clark, and I am honored to serve as your MC this evening. Tonight, we have lots of vehicles here in the parking lot at the Piscataquis County Ice Rink, watching this event on the big screen outdoors, and we have countless Democrats watching from their homes on YouTube. We are grateful to each and every one of you for participating and for sponsoring this event. We have raised $5,000, which will help fund our committee's support of local, state, and federal Democratic candidates. We also will donate 20% of to the following local organizations: Piscataquis YMCA, Pine Tree Hospice, the Milo Ecumenical Food Cupboard, the Guilford Memorial Library, and the Shaw Public Library in Greenville. These organizations support residents year in and year out, and perhaps now this year more than ever. The purpose of our county committee is to promote the principles of the Democratic Party by electing Democratic candidates to public office, and by doing so, to enable the government to function effectively as a democracy. As Joe Biden said so poignantly at the National Democratic Convention last month, this is a life-changing election that will determine America's future for a very long time. Character is on the ballot. Compassion is on the ballot. Decency, science, democracy. Tonight, we have a program filled with outstanding Maine leaders and candidates. You will hear from the Maine director of the Biden-Harris campaign and from Sarah Gideon and Jared Golden. We also will hear from our state and county candidates, David Ziemer, Dr. Richard Evans, Margarita Contrini, and Patrick Myers. Lifelong activists Betsy Sweet and Hannah Pingree, former Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives, will also join us. We will announce the recipients of this year's Don Hall Service Award and the Stephanie Locke Service Award, and several local residents will briefly share why they are Democrats. And to complement all the speakers, we'll hear two local musician groups perform for us. Finally, in closing, we will hear from our governor, Janet Mills, who in just 2 years has made a huge difference in our beloved state, and who, during this difficult time, has saved both lives and the livelihoods of Maine people. So, let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce James Stretch, the Maine State Director for the Biden-Harris campaign. James has over a decade of campaign experience working on federal, state, and local elections. He first came to Maine in 2013, where he served as senior staff on Emily Kane's congressional race. Last cycle, as regional political director with the Democratic Coordination Campaign Committee, he worked closely with Congressman Golden's campaign, helping to unseat Bruce Poliquin and take back the House. Please welcome James Stretch.
Thanks, Diane. Thanks for that great introduction, and hello, Piscataquis Dems. Really great to be here tonight and joining you all remotely. I'm glad some of us are able to meet in person at the ice rink. It was wonderful to see all those positive ads at the beginning and highlighting our really great candidates here in Maine. I know the mix was a little bit different than what I'm seeing on TV every night in my house, but really great seeing those ads again at the start of our program. Special thanks to your chair, who's been with us every step of the way and has just been a tremendous advocate for the county Democrats with the Biden campaign. I'm particularly excited to join you tonight after having been with Dr. Biden on her trip to Maine yesterday. For me, it was a great reminder about what we're all fighting for. You know, when this pandemic started, I actually ended up having to go to Tucson for a little bit to help out my brother. He's in the military and then had to keep going to work. And my sister-in-law was deployed overseas to Afghanistan. And so there's nobody at home to take care of their two little kids. So I packed up the car, went out there with my wife, and our quick 2-week trip turned into 2 months before his wife came back and was at home they could kind of manage things a little better. And that allowed me and my wife to pack up things and make the long road trip from Tucson, Arizona, back to Maine, a road trip I never thought I'd be taking. Definitely a weird one this year, as everyone was dealing with the pandemic. I know since then, a lot of us have been living moment to moment as we've dealt with our own unique challenges during these tough times. And that's why, to me, it was just really great to have Dr. Biden come to Maine, highlight how much focus the campaign is putting on state, and have conversations with Mainers across the state. While here, she visited with a small business owner in Orono, a brewery owner. She talked to a blueberry farmer whose family has been farming blueberries for over a century. She toured a lobster boat and met with a father and daughter lobstering duo. And then on her way into Blue Hill, it was great. It seems like the entire town came out to greet her safely, as distant as they could be, as of course. And to me, it was particularly fun seeing that crowd, because we do so many events remotely, and we do so much work on the campaign with yard signs and calling and volunteering. You can feel kind of the energy out there in the country, but to kind of see it in person for one of the first times, at least for me, and the enthusiasm that's there for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Dr. Biden, and again, Democrats up and down the ticket, is really just heartwarming. It reminded me a lot of why we're doing this. We're doing this, so we can have a first lady and president that's going to bring out the best in us. Someone who cares about working people, no matter the race or zip code, whether in rural Maine or a big city. This president who is going to be the same man who led the recovery program after the 2008 recession, someone who's going to take climate change seriously and believe in science and make sure we all have affordable, quality healthcare. I don't know about you, but it makes me just excited about these last 38 days and looking forward to November 4th, when we can make a significant change in the White House and get going on building back better than we had before. So as Dr. Biden said, we have just 38 days to make our voices heard. I hope you'll make sure you're registered to vote, make a plan to vote, help your family and friends check their registration status as well. And then lastly, take action by texting Take Action to 30330. So thank you for having me. Love you, and we got this.
Thanks so much, James. When Sarah Gideon speaks publicly, she often introduces herself as a proud mom, wife, sister, and daughter, and Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives. Throughout her time in public service, she has focused on improving the lives of Maine families, including expanding access to affordable health care, cracking down on pharmaceutical companies to increase drug price transparency, and help control the cost of prescription drugs, delivering resources to Maine to combat Maine's opioid epidemic, and much more. Today, Sarah is running for the U.S. Senate, where she will, as always, put Maine first. Sarah, thank you for joining us live this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Piscataquis County Dems, for everything that you do and everything that you are. I am so amazed at your ingenuity in putting together this event for all of us tonight, and I'm thrilled to have a chance to be here with you for just a little bit. Also, I want to say thank you to you for the incredible work that you do every election year, making sure that you are helping Democrats up and down the ballot get elected. And there couldn't be a more important time to do that. But it is also so important for us to pause sometimes in the middle of this, take a moment to recognize how important it is to be together and what exactly our shared values and goals are. So on that note, I know that many of us have had the chance to meet before and even to work together before, but some of us have not. So I will just introduce myself to you. I'm Sarah, and today I'm lucky enough to be tuning in from home, which is a little unusual these days. But I live here in Freeport with my husband, Ben, and our 3 kids, Julian, Alec, and Josie, who are navigating the new world of hybrid learning in middle school and high school, as I know many of our kids and grandkids are currently doing. For the past 8 years, I've represented the towns of Freeport and Pownell in the Maine State Legislature, while for the past 2 terms, I've served as Speaker of the Maine House. And now I am running to represent us in the U.S. Senate. Now, my reasons for doing that are many. And one of the core reasons is just my belief about public service, that it is about working to improve the lives of people around us. And it is a way that we can do that and do it together. The determination for me to make a difference in my community is what I wake up thinking about every day. And when I decided to run for our local office here in Freeport and for state representative, it was because of that. Now, during that time and through those roles and as Speaker of the House too, there are a couple of lessons that I've learned. And some of them I have had to learn the hard way because we worked in some very, very challenging years here in Maine state politics. But what I learned was that, number 1, if you are willing to listen, number 2, if you're willing to sit down, even with the people that you think you disagree with the most, it's still really possible to get things done. But I also learned the importance of standing up to people and standing up for what is right. And I think that is something that we desperately see missing right now on the federal level. Now, here in Maine, we've been on the campaign trail for about 15 months, and here we are with less than 40 days to go before Election Day. It is more clear to me than ever why this change is so important. I knew it was when we started this race, and it's why my family and I made the decision to do it. But now we see it is not just about how we are represented here in Maine, but it's also about that leadership that we so desperately need across the country. It's leadership that we need to get coronavirus under control and to establish a national coordinated response to protect and rebuild our public health. It's leadership to help us tear down together the systemic racism and inequalities and inequities that exist and that have existed through most of our history, while we build an America where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. And I just want to pause for a second, Diane, and make sure I'm hearing an echo. Are you guys okay with the sound right now? Okay, great. I was just going back to where I was talking about the importance of leadership in all of these ways, but it is also about leadership in making sure that we are investing in ourselves, that we are thinking of government as a tool for each of us, so that every one of us has access to healthcare, so that we are using the crisis of climate that exists around us to actually create economic opportunity, and so that our small businesses can succeed. Most importantly, so that we can prioritize our best and most important resource, and that is people. That's what Mainers deserve from their US Senator. It is unfortunately not what we are seeing from Senator Collins. Now, last week, as I know, and we have been talking about this so much, we said goodbye to a giant whose mark on the world included opening doors for gender equality and for women's rights. And today, just a short while ago, we watched this president nominate Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who could close those very doors that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg opened for all of us. The truth is that her legacy demands that this vacancy be filled only after a new president and Senate are seated. Her legacy also demands, though, that Senator Susan Collins, who has voted for over 180 judicial nominees now in these past 4 years, nominees who are sometimes unqualified, who are anti-healthcare, anti-reproductive healthcare, anti-environment, anti-civil rights, it demands that she be replaced, because not only do we have a judiciary that is changed, but the lawsuit that results from her vote on the tax bill will be heard in oral arguments in the Supreme Court starting just a week after Election Day. And yet still the irony, the terrible irony, that Republicans across this country are bringing forward a lawsuit to take away people's health care during the course of a pandemic, It's almost too much to believe, but it lights under us all, I think, that continual fire to keep on doing what we are doing in this election cycle. Mainers deserve better and Americans deserve better. And with 38, to be precise, 38 days to go, we are going to make that change happen together. I'm running for Senate today because I know that we can work together and come together even in this most challenging time. We can make real progress for people. We can fulfill the promise of what America is, one that we seem to have let go, especially in this past 4 years. But to do that, we have to win this election. And we can only do that, as I think you know, with your help. We have to just keep on building on this incredible work that Piscataquis Democrats have already been doing by continuing to talk to voters, by continuing to organize, by continuing to remind people exactly what's at stake and exactly who is going to work for them. We can do this. We are going to keep reaching Mainers every day. And I will tell you that whether we think about our school board, our town council and select board races, whether we think about our state house and Senate races, whether we think about Shelley and Jared's races, this race for Senate and Joe Biden's race for president, every one of these races matters to how we will be represented and also how we continue to build a bench of people that are ready to continue stepping forward and representing us. Mainers are going to do the right thing. They just need to know how and what they can do to make a difference. And we're gonna do this. So I'm honored to have your support in this election. Thank you so much for being here and welcoming me tonight. I wish I could see you all in person, and I look forward to the next time we're able to do one of your beautiful, wonderful dinners together. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Let's elect Sarah and put a Democrat in the U.S. Senate. There is another Mainer in the U.S. Congress, Congressman Jared Golden, who is also a fierce advocate for Maine. Elected to Congress in 2018, he has fought to protect Social Security and Medicare, lower prescription drug costs, support stronger unions, and put forth the most comprehensive election reform and anti-corruption legislation in decades. A veteran who served in combat tours in Iran and Afghanistan, Jared helped fund long-term mental health care for veterans. Now, let's hear from Jared.
2 years ago, I stood on a stage and asked you to fight with me to tell Wall Street and the big money corporate establishment that Maine's 2nd District doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us. I shared with you my belief that if we stood together, all the money and power in the world couldn't hold us back. After Washington Republicans voted to repeal the Affordable Care Act and take health care away from millions of Americans, you joined voters across the country to throw them out of power. In the process, we made history in the 2nd District by defeating a sitting incumbent for the first time in more than a century. Since then, I've never forgotten a promise I made to you those 2 years ago, that when the powerful and the special interests came knocking, your representative would have your back. So while the extremist attacks on our health care never cease, I've defended the ACA, taken on Big Pharma, and fought to cap out-of-pocket Medicare costs for seniors. While my predecessor and his establishment allies put corporate donors first, I joined more than 60 reform-minded Democrats to reject corporate PAC money. Together, we passed the largest anti-corruption and campaign finance reform bill since Watergate. And while the big banks and corporate lobbyists spend billions to rig the game in their favor, I'm fighting for the Mainers who work hard just to keep up with the bills. Small business owners, firefighters and teachers, loggers and nurses, shipbuilders and steelworkers. So when most of Congress looked the other way and declared President Trump's new trade deal a victory for America, I called it what it is, NAFTA with a fancy new name. I shot down congressional pay raises and supported a raise for women by voting for equal pay for equal work. And for the first time in history, I helped pass protections against LGBTQ discrimination through the House of Representatives. I've gone up against special interests who want to drive lobstermen out of business, had the backs of my fellow veterans, and stood in solidarity with my union brothers and sisters. I've stood up to Democratic leaders, Republican leaders, and to President Trump. That's the promise I made you, to have your back no matter what. And you've had my back too. I'll always be grateful to the thousands of you who gave me the opportunity to serve Mainers in Washington, and to the people who powered our historic victory, knocking doors, making calls, getting out the vote, and so much more. Since our historic win in 2018, we've built a line of defense against corruption, corporate greed, and attacks on our healthcare. Now in 2020, it's time to retake the offensive, because whether it's a woman's right to make her own healthcare choices, collective bargaining rights, or the promise of Medicare and Social Security, if you give the big money establishment an inch, they'll take a mile. Brothers and sisters, we're living through times more difficult than we've ever known. A dangerous new disease has taken the lives of tens of thousands of our friends, family members and neighbors, and claimed the livelihoods of tens of millions more. And we still face attacks on our health care, on women's rights and equality, and on our very democracy. We need principled leaders who will work together and do what's necessary to beat back corruption and solve the greatest challenges of our lives. The job ahead of us is large. The opposition from the powerful and the big money special interests will be fierce. But I stand by the promise I made you 2 years ago. If we stand together, nothing and no one can hold us back.
Hello, my name is Andy Lazat. I'm from Dover Foxcroft. Left a number of years ago and just recently moved my family, my wife Claire, and our 3 kids back home here. So we are back in Piscataquis County. Moved from south to north, from Cumberland County where we had been, and obviously coming home, one of the things you notice is that the Democrats are not in the majority up here. The Democratic views and platform are not the prevailing sentiment by any stretch of the imagination. So the last month, especially the last month or two, has actually really made us think about what's important to us as Democrats, what issues matter, and what really is at stake in the coming election. And for me personally, it boils down to making sure that our institutions that we've taken for granted perhaps over the years not just survive the present moment, but endure so that they can actually thrive. Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid, labor protections, banking regulations, just the basic structure of our government. These are things that are not theoretical to me. They are things that you would hope are normal and accepted and good, accepted as being good, but they seem to be increasingly under attack. So for me, it's very important that we return to the place we were at institutionally, recognizing respect for the rule of law, recognizing respect for specialization, for science, things that one would almost expect shouldn't have to be said and advocated for, but unfortunately that's the current state of affairs we find ourselves in. So obviously a lot's on the line, there's a lot to think about, but from my perspective it's just making sure that we come out of this stronger than we currently are and in a place where we can perpetuate our current institutions and where we need those to take us in the future.
Hi, I'm Molly, coming to you here from Paris, where I am proud to say that I am a Democrat and always will be. We're in a moment of crisis, our country is going through a lot, and what I know is that the Democrats are putting human rights up first on their agenda. They're working for every American person, for the Black Lives Matter movement, for climate change, and it's time to get the right president in the White House. It's crucial. So here we are. Cheers to being a Democrat.
Hello, Democrats of Piscataquis County. My name is Will Mallett. I'm a musician from Quebec. I'm an 8th generation resident of Piscataquis County. My ancestor, Thomas Town, a Revolutionary War veteran, is buried just a couple miles away from where I'm sitting right now. I've been thinking about old Tommy Town, as I like to call him, a lot lately. I've been picturing him with one of those trumpet things in his ears, a little hard of hearing at the dinner table, you know. What? Regaling the other diners with tales of his exploits at the Battle of Bennington. And I've been thinking about how old Thomas Town would feel if he could see how led astray our country has been by such an obvious con man and charlatan as the one currently occupying the White House. In short, I think that this is probably the most important and consequential election in the history of modern civilization. And I think it's important that we have a landslide victory for the Democrats this year. And with that in mind, I just want to thank everybody who's been volunteering, get the vote out, encouraging people to vote. Vote Democrat. We got to win big this year. Landslide. Appreciate you guys. Good luck. Cheers. See you around.
My name is Amy. I live in Dover Foxcroft. I am a wife. I am a teacher. And I am a citizen. I'm a Democrat because I believe in economic security for everyone, not just the top 5% of Americans. I believe in fiscal responsibility, but that sacrifice should first come from those who can afford it and not the very poorest of our neighbors. I believe in the necessity of rigorous and equitable access to education. I believe in policies that support the family, like paid parental leave, more support for public schools, and universal pre-K. I believe in a safe and sustainable environment. I believe climate change is real. I believe in better support for working parents, better daycare programs for our children, and immigration policies that don't punish or split up families. I believe in personal and social responsibility. I believe that access to quality health care should be a basic human right. Finally, I believe in social justice and liberty and justice for all. I believe each person, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation or expression, deserves equal respect and equal rights to pursue a meaningful life here in our country. I believe that love is love and that Black Lives Matter. I believe we need to vote blue in November. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
It's been many decades since Charlie Prey, a Democrat from Senate District Number 4, including Piscataquis County, has served in the Maine Senate or in the Maine House of Representatives. Each year, we garner more votes and get closer to winning, and this year is our year to win. We know that having Democrats represent our county in the Maine legislature would make a dramatic difference for the people of our county. Our state Senate candidate is David Zemer. David hails from Orneville and is vice chair of the Piscataquis County Democratic Committee. He substitute teaches from time to time in the local schools. David?
Hi, I'm David Zemer. I'm from Orneville, where the woods are ablaze with fall colors. I have lived here for approximately 20 years. I've been a social worker. I've been an information processor. My last career was in education, where I worked as an educational technician at MSAD 41, and I continue that work as a substitute teacher. I also spent a 9-month vacation in Southeast Asia as an artillery sergeant, compliments of Uncle Sam. In the 20 years I've lived here, I have noticed that in many cases, the people representing this district as a senator have probably done a pretty good job of meeting the needs of individuals. But at the same time, I never felt that they were meeting the needs of the county in general. If I'm elected, the 4 main areas I'm concerned with right now are COVID, internet access, education, and climate change. In COVID, I'm so interested in because I have a grandson who has had COVID. Fortunately, he has recovered fully. But I'm interested in COVID because it is a dangerous disease, and I think it's going to be around for a long time before we can safely run around again without wearing masks. Internet access, I don't think business in Piscataquis County can survive without internet access. Right now, we have the backbone to provide high-speed internet access, but we don't have either the will or the money to get it. And that's one area I'd like to concentrate on. Education. Our educators in Piscataquis County are woefully underfunded. Our equipment many times is way old. In fact, the other day I sat on a chair where I'm working and the chair broke. So I want to concentrate on that. And last of all, climate change. Climate change is going to change Piscataquis County. It's going to change in ways we're still not aware of. Climate change could mean that we see a real decline in sugar maples. Climate change is probably going to mean we're going to see a lot more people moving here. So these are all areas I'm really concerned in. I offer an alternative to the general Republican way of viewing things. I am more concerned about people as a whole, not any particular individual. If you vote for me, I will guarantee you I will represent you in a way you haven't experienced before. Thank you for giving me this forum, and thanks to the Democratic Committee for giving me this access to the public.
Dr. Richard Evans is known to many of us simply as Doc Evans, a general surgeon in private practice right here in Dover Foxcroft. Dr. Evans is a 12-year career veteran of the U.S. Air Force, where he served in multiple leadership roles at a variety of military hospitals and bases. In fact, his very first assignment was the Chief of Hospital Services at Loring Air Force Base in Maine. During his military career, he received multiple awards and commendations. He also earned his flight wings and became a flight surgeon. He is past president of the Maine Medical Association, receiving the President's Award for Distinguished Service. Dr. Evans is running for the Maine House of Representatives for District 120. Welcome, Dr. Evans. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Diane. First, let me thank you all for joining us for this event tonight. With so much chaos and dysfunction occurring across our nation, we must remind ourselves that we are at a historic moment, a moment where it is up to us to set a new pathway for the citizens of our communities, especially here in Piscataquis County. In our county, the poverty rate is 18%. The population is aging. Opportunities for our young people are nearly non-existent. Wages are stagnant and high healthcare costs are crippling far too many people. As if these conditions were not bad enough, we are now ensnared in the net of a devastating pandemic, the worst of which is yet to come. We must face the fact that this is the reality of our here and now. Given this reality, and as common communities, we must better prepare ourselves to live forward. This means that the status quo is not an option and is no longer acceptable, as it is obvious that this approach has not improved the health or well-being of our local communities. In the daily lives of each of us, we may be called upon to steer a new course, to make better decisions for either better or worse. In this pandemic and election year, the health care of every one of us, and especially for women, will soon be in the hands of the United States Supreme Court. The ongoing lack of appropriate public health preparedness, telecommunications, infrastructure, the opioid crisis, and inadequacies in senior and elderly care remain front and center and must be addressed head on. If we ever needed committed and unwavering change that brings new insight, inclusion, new advocacy, and especially new leadership for our communities of our district in the legislature, that time is now. Being in the Maine state legislature is not a career path for me. It is a time for bold and unwavering leadership. Leadership that leads to direct and visible improvements in the lives of the citizens of our communities. There can be no hesitancy or reservation in recognizing and fixing the flaws in our healthcare system, or the needed attention of the educational needs of our children. We know that our economic recovery goes hand in hand with jobs that pay living wages. The pandemic has made it perfectly clear that our telecommunications infrastructure has lingered on the vine for far too long. We can no longer kick the can down the road by not addressing the needs of our young people, needs that they will need to prepare themselves to compete in an ever-changing future and changing jobs market. These are the challenges of life on a daily basis that we must aggressively pursue in order to create better opportunities for the greatest good and the greatest number in our communities. These changes will not occur on their own. They can occur only with new leadership and a willingness to put others before self. With this upcoming historic election on November 3rd, let us commit ourselves to rise with strength and spirit, to fight back, to vote, and get this done. I thank you for your time, and above all else, stay safe.
I am delighted to introduce Margarita Contrini, our candidate for the District 119 House seat. Margarita is from Greenville and serves as the chair of the PCDC. She also is vice president of the Moosehead Lake Region Economic Development Corporation, a retired university administrator and former public school teacher. Take it away, Margarita.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to talk with you this evening, and even though I cannot see you, I sure can feel the excitement that all of you have for our candidates and for this upcoming election. Running for public office is a new adventure for me. Fortunately, there's a village, a wonderful village of people that are helping all of the candidates here. We have informal advisors who we tap for straightforward, honest answers to questions, a designer who keeps us focused on message and on time. And we have an army of letter writers getting our name in the papers each week and putting campaign signs in yards. I'd like to thank you all, dear friends, for all of your fabulous support. So why am I running for the Maine House of Representatives for District 119? I decided to throw my hat in the ring to help address the foundational challenge that we have here in this county, and that's the economy. There's no question that businesses and employees have been impacted, particularly in the early months this spring during the pandemic. And my focus is first to recover from the economic impact of the pandemic. Fortunately, in the last 3 months, businesses have rebounded. Some have reported record businesses and sales over the last couple of months. I've talked with select board members from Sangerville, Guilford, Monson, and Greenville, and all of their budgets are holding, they tell me. I hope you saw last week in the Bangor Daily News, they reported that Maine's economy is rebounding the fastest in the nation. There's no doubt that our state's steady, science-based, and fact-based approach contributed to saving lives and to Maine's faster recovery, and it's drawing people to our state. We need representatives in the legislature who will support Governor Mills' recovery program and her long-range initiatives for Maine. Can you imagine if the previous administration had been in charge in 2020? Here's what we must do beyond the pandemic. We must strengthen our business community, create new business and new job opportunities, expand our workforce, ensure access to affordable health care, fix our roads, bring broadband to rural Maine, just for starters. To do these things, new leadership is needed. Leadership that builds teams, develops partnerships among businesses, government, and nonprofit organizations. Leadership that works with all constituents, encourages investment, builds momentum, and gets things done. Same old has not been working for Piscataquis County, as you just heard from Dr. Richard Evans. That's why I'd like to pitch in and work with Governor Mills and her team to grow and preserve the communities and the woods and waters we love. As you know, I never planned on running for public office, but taking the road less traveled has indeed made all the difference. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Good night.
Patrick Myers is running for county commissioner. He lives in Quebec in the house he grew up in and is the executive director of the Center Theater. He also serves on the board of directors of the Piscataquis Regional Food Center and the Commons at Central Hall. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks, Diane.
I apologize for the lighting. I'm broadcasting live from the parking lot in my pickup truck production studio and projection booth. But I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to thank everyone who has supported my campaign. I am excited and optimistic because people from both sides of the political divide know that the best approach to solve today's problems in Piscataquis County and the problems of the future are if we work together. I'm proud to have the support of people who want to work together and don't want to see people divided by fear-mongering and scare tactics. So thank you to everyone who supported the campaign and supported Democrats up and down the ticket. I myself am looking forward to some blue skies in November. I also have the job tonight of introducing a musical family that truly needs no introduction. Whether it's Will and Luke playing in the Mallet Brothers Band or David playing solo, the Mallet family name is famous throughout Maine and around the world for heartfelt lyrics sung with passion and honesty. So it's truly my pleasure to introduce David, Luke, and Will Mallet.
Sometimes you just don't feel like trying. Too many politicians lying. Too many hungry babies crying. Too many random bullets flying. Too much time spent in struggle. Too many little kids in trouble. Too many cities gone to rubble. Too many people talking double. This can't be our destination. This could be a better nation. Time to set the big horse racing. We can change the situation. Trains are leaving from the station. Need a brand new generation. This could be celebration now. Situation's changing fast. Too much plastic, too much trash. Too many smokestacks spewing ash. Too many people with no cash. Too much waste and not enough water. Too many abandoned sons and daughters. Too many lost and hopeless feelings. Too many low-down shady dealings. This can't be our destination. This could be a better nation. Time to set the big horse racing. Need a brand new generation. Things are leaving from the station. We are getting no reservation. This could be celebration now. Now.
All the time I hear this roaring, baby stealing iron ore, and people shouting, also showing that their side is the right side more and more. I see a man in frozen stores, weary, tired, and poor all the time, folks. They're buried in the wild because they're all so bored. It's becoming natural the way we need things without a reason. Being to green, the weeds go from the roots. We're all running from the truth. We choose to fight instead, prove ourselves, leave rubbing over on the shelf. Divide and they just free to send us anything.
This can't be our destination. This could be a better nation. Time to set the big horse racing. Need a brand new generation. Time to change the conversation. Trains are leaving from the station. This could be celebration now. Too many people looking down. Too many closed up factory towns. Too much high price propaganda. Too much sadness in this land. The dreams that once could all come true. Now it's down to me and you. Tell me what you gonna do. Tell me what you gonna do. Now this can't be our destination. This could be revelation. Time to set the big corporation. Need a brand new generation. Trains are leaving from the station. This could be celebration. We are getting no reservation. This could be celebration. This could be celebration. This could be celebration. This could be celebration now.
special thank yous to make to volunteers who have gone above and beyond in bringing our message to voters throughout the county. I'm very pleased to first announce the recipients of this year's Don Hall Award. As many of you will remember, Don had a family business, Hall's Christmas Tree Farm in Sangerville. Don also was well known for his enthusiastic and continual support of local and state politics. He served many years in the House of Representatives and was always dedicated to keeping in touch with the people he represented. Don would travel to Augusta at 6 o'clock every morning and start calling folks at 7 o'clock a.m. And he would end each and every call with, "God love ya." This year's recipient of the Don Hall Award is a dynamic duo who exemplify leadership and service, Carol and Eric Boothroyd. Carol has served as chair of the county committee, the Education and Outreach Committee, and the Dover-Foxcroft Municipal Committee, among many other roles. And in 2016, she ran for the Maine State Senate. Eric Boothroyd has served as treasurer of the county committee and chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. Both Eric and Carol have represented our county committee on the Democratic State Committee, and both have assisted and campaigned door to door for multiple candidates through the years. They are the ones we always turn to whenever anything needs to be done. Please join me in congratulating and thanking Carol and Eric Boothroyd.
Thank you, Diane. Carol and I are honored to be selected as this year's recipient of the Don Hall Service Award. When Carol retired from teaching in 2014, she became involved in local issues, especially those surrounding climate change and the environment. It was clear that the Democratic Party was more aligned with her values politically, so she committed fully to the local party in the run-up to the 2016 elections. As for myself, as treasurer of the Piscataquis Democrats, I have been able to see firsthand the generosity of all of you. Your financial support has allowed us to have a full-time office and a monthly newsletter that is distributed county-wide. Since 2016, our fall fundraising totals have exceeded our goals and surpassed the prior year's totals. That is true this year as well, even in the year of the pandemic. But it's also a crucial election year that may determine the fate of our democracy. Whereas Joe Biden says the very soul of America is at stake. We need to stand together as Democrats, mobilize, and vote.
Thanks again to the Piscataquis County Democrats for honoring us with the Don Hall Service Award. We are proud to volunteer for the Democratic cause, along with our friends and our neighbors on the committee. We are making our voices heard in our communities. We are talking about our values, and no matter what is thrown at us, we will continue to work to support our Democratic candidates to represent us. Let me tell you why I'm proud to be a Democrat. Our party will tackle the climate crisis rather than deny and delay action. Our party wants more people to have health care, not fewer. Our party wants more people to exercise their right to vote, not less. So, with less than 40 days to go, let's all pitch in to get the vote out for all of our Democratic candidates. Keep in mind our main Democratic platform, which says, "We are the party of the people, all the people."
We're sorry we couldn't see you, but your words resonate soundly. We're going to ask those of you who are in the parking lot watching on the big screen that you do not honk your horns in approval, because we want to be cognizant of the residents at Hibbards. Now, it's a great pleasure to present the Stephanie Locke Award. Stephanie and her husband, Ron, a forester, managed a certified tree farm in Quebec that became nationally known for their enlightened management practices. Stephanie, whose profession was nursing, served in the Maine House from 1977 to 1981, where she was incidentally the first woman from this area to serve in the House. She had a clever campaign slogan, "Lock is the key to your house," and her palm cards were made in the shape of a key. She knocked on every door in the county and in the process drove her old VW bug to the ground. This year's recipient of the Stephanie Locke Award for Outstanding Volunteer Service is an extraordinary individual who has dedicated her life to helping others and advancing our community. She is an individual who is a mentor or teacher to many and who is greatly admired by all. I am delighted to recognize Sue Mackey Andrews as the 2020 Stephanie Locke Award recipient. Sue currently chairs our county collaborative, Helping Hands with Heart. She has worked with multiple other organizations through the years, Maine Highlands Senior Center, Woman Care, which is now known as Partners for Peace, Pine Tree Hospice, Piscataquis County Economic Development Council, the MSAD 68 School Board, Maine Children's Growth Council, and the Maine Resiliency Building Network, just to name a few. She also has run for the Maine State Senate. Sue has worked tirelessly to advocate for the people of our region, to ensure that people have access to essential services, and to make certain that there is equity across our state. Please join me in congratulating and thanking Sue Mackey Andrews.
My heartfelt thanks to the PCDC for the honor of the Stephanie Locke Award. I did know Stephanie. She was a good person and she represented our region well with authenticity and commitment. Growing up in a Republican home, I was, and I like Ike kid. Back then, the Republican Party represented the great truth first spoken by Abraham Lincoln. The legitimate object of government is to do for a community of people whatever they need to have done, but cannot do it all or cannot do so well for themselves in their separate and individual capacities. But in all that people can individually do as well for themselves, government ought not to interfere. President Eisenhower counseled us further. In all things which deal with people, be liberal, be human. In all of those things which deal with people's money or their economy or their form of government, be conservative. Can you imagine this? These dudes were Republicans. My guess is that they would hardly recognize their party these days. We as Democrats need Eisenhower's Republican Party back if we are to be successful. Our country is built upon and made more strong when supported by diversity, negotiation, and compromise. I learned a lot campaigning over 3 cycles, mostly listening to voters to better understand why, in my humble opinion, some folks would so often vote against what appeared to be their own best interests. Even today, many of these voters recognize me in the grocery store. They'll speak my name, act as though we just saw each other yesterday, and continue the conversation we started years ago. You see, relationships were formed on those brief stops. Political party doesn't matter when you call an ambulance or a fire truck. Political party doesn't matter in the eyes of your God, where you shop or where you take your car for repairs. COVID-19 knows no such boundaries either. I have 3 asks or calls to action for each of you. First, please be safe. Wear your masks, physically distance, wash your hands, and avoid crowds. It's really simple, folks. Easy. Second, please vote early. Absentee in-person voting runs from October 5th through October 30th at your town office, where you can vote immediately. The third ask is similar to our fight against COVID-19. Together, we have a long-term challenge to repair our wounded country and fractured international relationships. For the remainder of this campaign cycle and beyond, we as Democrats need to demonstrate responsible behavior, just like wearing our masks. We need to be consistent in our actions and words and expect responsible civic behavior from everybody, recognizing that we are in a long-term political fight for the future of our country. So please build upon the relationships you already have, create new ones, and let's build a new future together. Thank you again for this honor. Be safe. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
It is my pleasure now to welcome Betsy Sweet, a small business owner, lifelong activist, political organizer, and candidate. Betsy passionately advocates for the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and eliminating student debt. She is greatly admired friend to Piscataquis County Democrats. Please welcome Betsy Sweet.
Hello, Piscataquis Democrats. I am so honored and overjoyed to be with you tonight. Although I have to say, I'm sure like you, I really wish that we were all together in East Sangerville Grange. I have told you all, many of you before, that of all the campaign stops that I have made in the last couple of years, coming to your dinner at the East Sangerville Grange has been my absolute favorite. So I'm happy to join you virtually. I think you are very creative and amazing. And I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you in person when it's safe for us to do so. So thank you for asking me to just say a few things. But before I start, I just want to say congratulations to Carol and Eric. They are the best of what democracy is about, what activism is about, what caring and compassion and kindness is about. And I am so proud to know you both and to work shoulder to shoulder with you on so many things. So congratulations on your well-deserved award. So I just want to say a few things. You're hearing from lots of people tonight, and I know we all feel the same way. I know we all feel like we are in this incredibly perilous time, and we are. You know, in the course of my 40 years of being involved in politics, I have said many times, this is the most important election ever. But this time, I really mean it. And I know we all feel it. I think that every day I wake up and I'm sort of afraid to turn on my phone or the news or see what's happened overnight to see what other awful thing has happened. And just in this past week alone, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying, and then immediately going not to the celebration of this amazing woman's life, but to this political football game about the Supreme Court. And then we see the injustice in Breonna Taylor's murder. And we have the president himself saying that he would not commit to a peaceful transition of power if he is to lose. So we are in perilous times indeed. And I think that the only way that we overcome what the president said about not submitting to a peaceful transition or committing to a peaceful transition is by having a tsunami, a tidal wave, a landslide that we have never seen before that is just undeniably a move to get him out of power. And so it's up to us, you and me, and all of our friends and neighbors and family to make that happen. And even though we all feel it and we want it, making it happen takes a lot. And I think it's going to take something beyond what we've done before. Yes, we have to call. Yes, we have to get out the vote. Yes, we have to register people. All of those things are true. And I know you are all working so hard on them, as am I. But I think we have to do a few other things. The most important thing is I think we have to approach this election not from fear, but from love and kindness. Our politics have devolved into fear so that you hate that one and we're scared of this one. And we're guilty of it too. I'm guilty of it. And I think we have got to move our framework into one of love and compassion. And that brings to my second point. We've got to talk about what we are for. Our candidates need to do it, but we need to do it as activists. We can't just say why the other guy is so bad. We can have a list this long on why Trump is so bad and Collins is so bad. And, you know, we can have this long, long list. But that's not a motivator to people who don't usually vote. They want to know, what are you going to do for me? How is my life going to improve? And that's when we get to talk about healthcare and tackling climate change and economic inequality and reforming the criminal justice system or the injustice system. You know, those are the things we can say, and we can actually paint the picture of what it would look like. Imagine that if someone was paid enough to only have to work one job and was paid enough and then had healthcare at that job. And then we knew that the Mother Earth was restoring and we weren't polluting her anymore, polluting ourselves out of existence. Those are the things that we have to talk about when we talk to our friends and neighbors who aren't particularly political about about what we are for and painting the picture. Because everything's changing. And it's much easier to get scared, and we're being told that from the top, certainly, to go scared and go backwards. But we want to go forward. But we have to help people to think about what that's like. And fear has robbed us and this whole country of our imagination. And we can bring that back, and that's what will excite people to vote, in my mind. And the third thing I think we have to do is to make sure that we get people who don't usually vote out to vote. Now, we have all said this, but now we have to do it. And one of the biggest groups is young people. And I have talked to you all before, in both informally and formally, about what that looks like. And the group that I think we most need to get out is young people. And it's really hard. They are excited, they are scared, they are nervous, they want to see things more than they want to move faster and farther than most of our candidates are willing to go. But we have to convince them that it's still important to get a foot in the door. Just think of the Supreme Court. But when we talk about how do we get those kids involved and how do we approach them, one of the things that one of the young people involved in my campaign said to me was, Betsy, the reason I got so excited about your campaign and about you was because when you met with us, the first thing you asked us was what you could do for us instead of telling us what we could do for you. So let's take that to heart. There are young people in the streets. There are young people who don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with their feelings of fear and what's happening in this country. So let's ask what we can do to support them, whatever it is. They're creating a recycling program. If they're in the streets for justice for Breonna Taylor, if they're in the streets for Black Lives Matter, whatever it is, let's figure out how we can support them. And then we can all work together to create that tsunami, to create that incredible wave, that incredible landslide victory that Democrats are surely to bring about in less than, 38 days, I think. So in 38 days, we have to pull this off. So let's do it. I know we will do it. If anyone can do it, it is the people in Piscataquis County. I know you Democrats are the most hearty, enthusiastic, wonderful people I've ever met. So I love you. I miss you. We are in this together. I can't wait to see you again, shoulder to shoulder, and bringing about the world that we all envision. Let's paint that picture. Let's do it from love, and let's get everybody to participate. I love you. Have a great night. I'm very excited to hear both Hannah and the governor. Take good care. Mwah.
John Curran, known to his friends as JT, and his son Jason Curran are residents of Sangerville. JT is a published poet, Jason an accomplished composer. Both of them are also wonderful musicians, as many folks around here can attest. Let's sit back and enjoy JT and Jason for a thoughtful interlude.
Morning sun, creeping, peeking through the window, summertime. Slowly I enter the world, my thoughts cluttered with uneasiness, fear, the new normal, coined and gleefully accepted by the pundits. What's so normal about the world coming to a halt? Hatred rising to the surface, a generation that talks with their thumbs, people who can overlook lies and more lies, bullying, name-calling, climate change, global pandemic, destruction of common decency. The list goes on, while the dead pile up in refrigerated trucks. The new normal? What's new? What's normal? Remembering my theories of personality, fascinating portraits of craziness, as the new normal allows sociopaths to lead the world over the edge of the abyss. Definitions change. Remembering when love was all you needed, the old normal, the days gone by, the haze lingers, pointed and disjointed, round and round, flowers, incense, candles and music, world change. We were making it. But what? Boomers boomed, bombed and bewildered by realities, fatherhood, motherhood, careers and hidden expectations. Gotta make ends meet. Real change comes in small increments. Time speeds with age. The 747 about to land. Looking for a new leader, a new way, a new landing strip, while Nero tees off. These times are like the beach without waves, the woods without trees, the flowers without color, the garden without taste. Guarded laughter and interactions, I hear the whispers. Change is coming, but I can't feel it. My senses searching, turning stones, listening to the quiet, faint whispers getting closer. Change is coming, patience. Looking for fun, a smile, yin and yang, pain and happiness, waiting for tomorrow, can't get past today. A hug, a kiss, a face, a train, get on board. The tracks colored with anticipations lead to hope. Hope the weather's nice, hope the people are friendly, hope the air is fresh. Turn the volume up a bit, change is coming. Trying to smile, trying to be nice, trying to be helpful, just trying. My heart beats, my mind wanders, I walk in circles and wonder why it's not obvious to all the change is coming. So put on that red dress, Mama, because we're going out tonight. Meet up with friends and spread the news, shout it out. The change is coming, the change is coming, the change is coming.
I am pleased to introduce Hannah Pingree, a veteran Maine political leader. She has served as Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives, Maine House Majority Leader, and Chair of the Committee on Health and Human Services, among other roles. Hannah spearheaded successful legislation on energy, broadband, housing, environmental health, and healthcare. Please welcome Hannah Pingree.
Great. Well, so great to be with you all tonight. I'm sorry we couldn't be together in person. I just want to, again, congratulate the Piscataquis County Democrats for this wonderful event. Super creative. And I know the message has been repeated over and over again. Please do all you can for these candidates you've heard from tonight. Running for office is hard, but as you know, it matters so much to have good people in Augusta and Washington, D.C. And you know well the difference a President Joe Biden could make, or Senator Sarah Gideon, what a Democratic House or Senate who had huge majorities could do to make real investments in kids in our rural economy. I also want to thank Sue Mackey Andrews for asking me here tonight. She's someone I've had the pleasure to work with over the years. She is absolutely the most dedicated advocate in the state for families and especially for Maine's kids. I've seen that firsthand as she stands up and she speaks in Augusta. So congrats to her on her award tonight. I know it's probably been said over and over again, and I just heard Betsy say it, the importance of this election. I know we've all said there's never been a more important election of our lifetime, but I know we all feel how different this one is, how high the stakes are. As I think some of you saw, former Republican Senate President Kevin Ray and my friend, Republican Senator Roger Cates, just wrote in the Bangor Daily News a week or so ago in their endorsement of Joe Biden, which was a big deal, that Donald Trump has proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that he lacks the honesty, integrity, empathy, and leadership skills our nation so badly needs to overcome the crisis of a pandemic, racial unrest, and economic upheaval. As lifelong Republicans, we will be voting to put our country over party. Our democracy just cannot stand another 4 years of chaos, and our party should not either. So I was impressed by that endorsement, and I know you all know, again, the stakes are so, so high. I know everyone who's tuned in cares passionately. So again, I just want to thank you all for your commitment and efforts. We're all going to do everything we possibly can do every day until November 3rd. So it's my honor here tonight to introduce my boss, Governor Janet T. Mills. Governor Mills, who, unlike our president, has shown day after day what a calm, steady, and data-driven leader who believes in science, who listens to experts, and listens to Maine people. She's shown what she can accomplish. She's led in her first 2 years in office doing exactly what she said she'd do. She focused on our economy and creating good-paying jobs, with a 10-year economic plan to invest in our people, to grow good-paying jobs, and to not leave rural parts of our state behind. whether it be investing in housing for seniors, broadband expansion, small business support, or bringing new forest products industries to Maine. She has remained laser focused on improving the lives of Maine people. She's invested in education, our kids, increasing funding for our school districts across Maine, focusing on skills training to ensure that Maine has the workforce we need, with community college support, our community technical centers, and the university. She restarted the Maine Children's Cabinet to make sure commissioners are thinking every day about improving the lives of kids. She expanded Medicaid in her first week in office so that thousands more Maine families could access health care. She signed significant legislation to lower the cost of prescription drugs, and she's paid special attention to our most vulnerable populations, those struggling with mental health challenges or access to programs for rural seniors. She's followed through on her commitment and focus on the opioid epidemic, investing real dollars into treatment and speaking honestly about the importance of recovery. Lastly, on the issue of energy and climate, an issue I'm focused on for the governor, she's led Maine's efforts to transition our economy to a green, sustainable economy, reducing carbon emissions and creating thousands of good-paying jobs in renewable energy, in wood products, and the efficiency sector, the fastest sector of new job creation in the country. People know just how much of an impact climate change will and is having on Maine, on our farmers, on our fishermen, with sea level rise, flooding rivers, changing weather, changing seasons. Governor Mills knows that Maine can be a leader, and she has put her leadership to bear, and she is creating results. I was proud to watch her as the only governor in the country to speak to the UN Convention on Climate last September. She declared on this issue, Maine will not wait. With every new heat pump installed, home weatherized, solar energy project installed, Mainers are saving money, new jobs are being created, and we are starting on the path, the much needed path to combat climate change. Last but not least, I've had a front seat view into Governor Mills' management of this COVID pandemic and related economic crisis. Her tough decisions have saved lives. They've protected the health of Maine people, and they have kept Maine among the top states in the country in terms of COVID rates. Today, Maine stands as the safest state in the country behind Vermont. Governor Mills has spoken honestly, she's spoken seriously, and she's taken action. She's worked day in and day out with a talented cabinet and leaders who stay focused on what's important. Despite an influx of millions of tourists and seasonal visitors, Maine had among the lowest COVID rates in the country through the summer, thanks to the governor's efforts to protect Maine people. We've been rated the state with the best economic recovery from the pandemic. Governor Mills knows that public health vigilance and economic recovery go hand in hand. People can't work, they can't visit Maine businesses, and kids can't learn if this virus is out of control. And our governor has put tireless effort into programs that provide relief to the small businesses who we know are struggling, to support the safe reopening of our schools, to support childcare providers, and promote public health in all of our communities. She's worked to help those who've lost jobs and can't pay their rent or their heating bills. And she's focused every day on what science and data is telling us and how we can use that information to make good decisions. Our governor has stood up to President Trump. She's demanded Maine's fair share of PPE and a national testing program, a request which he has still failed to deliver to any of the US states. Governor Mills has thought every day about the safety and the livelihoods of Maine people, and I know she's laid awake at night after considering each and every difficult decision she's had to make. Maine is incredibly lucky to have Governor Mills at the helm at this time, and I'm honored to work for her every day and to introduce her here tonight. So thank you for having me. Please stay focused on all that is at stake. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and thank you, Piscataquis County Democrats and Governor Mills.
Hey, Piscataquis County Dems. It's Janet Mills, your governor. One of my favorite things about autumn is going to the East Sangerville Grange and hanging out with you, enjoying Sue Mackey Andrews' best ever mac and cheese, baked mac and cheese, and those homemade pies. I miss that this year more than anything right now. And I miss you guys too, all of you. We'll come back, we'll do it again in live next year, I hope, and everybody stay safe in between now and then. God willing, I'm proud to be a Democrat, I am proud to be your governor. And if you told me that when I was running for governor that in less than 2 years, we'd be facing a global pandemic, the likes of which we've never seen before, not in 100 years. If you told me that we'd be seeing a pandemic that would take more than 140 lives of Maine people and sicken thousands more in our state, a pandemic that would harm every part of our economy and test the bounds of our collective patience, well, I wouldn't have believed it. But here we are today. I'm on the job. My people, my cabinet, my staff are on the job every day, trying to keep all of you safe with your cooperation. And the truth is, no governor expects or wants to go through anything like this. But as a friend once told me, well, if you're going to be a general, you might as well be during wartime. While the war against this invisible but deadly enemy still rages, one thing is clear: elections matter, and electing Democrats saves lives. Remember how the previous administration in Augusta decimated our public health system? Remember how they cut the Department of Education to the bone and so many other vital services they just got rid of? Remember how the previous Republican governor left town and went golfing in Florida anytime things got tough? Well, that's all changed. This governor is on the job working for you. Before we ever suspected a pandemic was on our doorsteps, and with the help of good Democrats in the legislature, we had begun to restore the critical services in Maine that Maine people rely on. On my first day in office, we put an end to the obstruction of the Republican years, and we fulfilled the will of the voters. We passed Medicaid expansion. We expanded Medicaid, and now more than 53,000 people are able to get to a doctor, see someone, get preventative care, and afford prescription drugs. We began rebuilding the public health infrastructure, which is now so critical in fighting this pandemic. And for the sake of all women who don't have access to reproductive care, we expanded Medicaid coverage for abortion and expanded the scope of practice for those who may provide abortion care. And we strengthened Maine's safety nets to lift children and families out of poverty. We enacted prescription drug reform to lower drug costs. We enacted the Made for Maine Healthcare Coverage Act to offer Maine solutions for small businesses and create a marketplace to meet the health insurance needs of Maine people. I appointed the very first director of opioid response to bring the full resources and power of the state to bear on the epidemic of substance use disorder and drug overdose that still challenges our state. We successfully negotiated 7 new state contracts with the major public employee unions and established in those contracts for the first time a provision for parental leave. We enacted the most progressive paid leave policy in the country, along with workers' comp reforms and pay equity legislation. We enacted a $40,000 a year minimum teacher pay across the state. We boosted state funding for education to nearly 51%. We protected LGBTQ youth from the dangerous and discredited practice of conversion therapy, and we prohibited transgender exclusions in health insurance. We joined the U.S. Climate Alliance, and we created the Maine Climate Council. We invested in electric vehicles and charging stations and heat pumps and solar and offshore wind. To heal the divisions of our past, we began to rebuild the state's relationship with Maine's tribes. We banned Native American mascots in schools. We established Indigenous Peoples Day, reinvigorated the Maine Indian Tribal State Commission, and enacted tribal sustenance fishing rights. We paid off the debts of the previous administration, and we stocked away a record $258 million in the rainy day fund. Twice in my term as governor already, Moody's and Standard & Poor's affirmed our state's credit rating and financial stability, even during these current difficult economic times. As I look back on the past few months, what this pandemic has revealed to me is what Democrats fight for day in and day out matters. Affordable, accessible health care matters. A good public health system matters. A strong safety net to help people who fall on hard times matters. A government that is managed with honesty, intelligence, and compassion matters. Depending on science and listening to experts matters. There are those who criticize, and that comes with the territory. We're making tough decisions day in and day out. There are those who will engage in Monday morning quarterbacking. Something is very easy to do. She should have done this, should have done that. But we know there is no COVID-19 playbook. We see in other states and in our nation's capital what happens when we allow hatred and mockery to take charge. The failure of Republican leadership is clearer now, today, than ever before. This election was already the most important one in our lifetimes, but Sunday evening brought us a monumental loss that will shape generations of Americans. I had the privilege of meeting Justice Ginsburg when I was Attorney General of Maine, and I had the pleasure of watching people argue before her in the gallery of the highest court in the land. She was a gracious, tenacious person with great intellect, who was devoted to the integrity of the court and to the rule of law as it applies to every person in our country. She was one of the greatest Americans ever. The progress we've made in the last 20 months, expanding access to reproductive care, defending the rights of LGBTQ Mainers, protecting health care, embracing renewable energy in the fight against climate change, all of that now rests on a knife's edge. Justice Ginsburg's seat must be filled by the next president of the United States, chosen by the voters, not by Mitch McConnell. In 2012, as your Attorney General, I told fellow Maine Democrats at the state convention, you and I must give every effort, gather forces to reinvigorate our party, to reinforce the House of Representatives, to regain the state Senate, to elect a Democrat to the White House, and ultimately to retake the Blaine House. Well, we've retaken the Maine House of Representatives and the state Senate, and we've retaken the Blaine House. This year, we must elect Margarita Contrani and Dr. Richard Evans, my good friend, to the House of Representatives, David Zima to the Senate, and Pat Myers to the County Commission. We must regain the United States Senate, elect Sarah Gideon, retake the White House, and preserve the integrity of the Supreme Court to prevent injustice everywhere and protect the lives and livelihoods of people everywhere. Let us rise and organize. A stronger party, a stronger people, and a stronger state. Let us harness our creativity to campaign in new and creative, exciting ways to mobilize our fellow Americans and inspire the people of Maine, because a brighter future depends on every one of you. The future depends on us. So keep the faith and stay safe. I miss that mac and cheese and the homemade pies and all the goodies at the East Sangerville Grange. We will meet again in person one day. I know we will. And celebrate our victories from this year and the path forward that we stake out now for the coming years. Thank you, good friends, good Democrats. Godspeed. Stay safe.
Thank you, Governor Mills. We are thankful for your steadfast diligence in keeping science as the foundation for keeping Mainers informed, alive, and safe during the pandemic. Thank you to our dedicated Democratic candidates for upholding the tenets of the party as you campaign toward victory in November. You give us hope for a better future. And finally, thank you, supporters of the Democratic Party in Piscataquis County. We value your strength and enthusiasm and rely on your consistent efforts during this critical election. Remain focused, remain determined, spread our message, and of course, be sure to vote. We can and will make a difference. Go Maine Dems. Stay safe and good night.